My name is Samuel Harrison. I've been practicing law in Phoenix for 15 years. Last week, a court enforcement officer was at my door. He said I owed $50,000 compensation for a case I'd never seen. I examined the file. There really was such a case in court records. I had supposedly sued Marcus Thompson for a traffic accident and lost. Only problem: I had never filed this lawsuit. I didn't know Marcus Thompson. The accident report was fake, witness statements fabricated, even court hearing transcripts existed. Everything looked proper in the system. What I didn't know at this point was, there were hundreds of other lawyers in the same situation, and this was just the beginning. But the criminals hadn't researched my background. That Monday morning, I had started my daily routine at my office on South Central Avenue in Phoenix. I had been working in the same office for 15 years. My diplomas and certificates hung on the walls. The most important certificate stood in the corner. Phoenix Police Department Detective Certificate. Before becoming a lawyer, I had worked as a police detective for 5 years. This background would soon save my life. At 8 in the morning, while drinking my coffee, the phone was ringing at my secretary Janet's desk. Janet hadn't arrived yet. I answered the phone myself. Harrison Law Office. Samuel Harrison speaking. Mr. Harrison, this is William Foster, Maricopa County Enforcement Director. I have an urgent document to serve you. I'm at your office. Could you open the door? I went to the door. A middle-aged man in official uniform was standing there. He had an official envelope in his hand. Samuel Harrison? This belongs to you. I took the envelope. It had Maricopa County Superior Court letterhead. As I read the document inside, my confusion increased. Case number: CV 2023-15847. Marcus Thompson vs. Samuel Harrison. Judgment for plaintiff: $50,000, plus court costs and attorney fees. According to the document, on May 18, 2023, I had a traffic accident at the intersection of Central Avenue and Thomas Road. I had hit Marcus Thompson's car. The man suffered neck injury and underwent physical therapy for 3 months. I had lost the case and was to pay $50,000 compensation. Wait a minute. There must be a mistake. I didn't have such an accident. Foster shrugged. Mr. Harrison, court records are clear. If you don't pay within 21 days, your assets may be seized. Your bank accounts can be frozen. But I don't remember this accident. I don't know Marcus Thompson. This is a legal document, Mr. Harrison. If you want to object, consult with your own attorney. The ironic thing was, I was already a lawyer. After Foster left, I re-examined the documents. Everything was very detailed. Accident report, police record, hospital records, physical therapy reports. There were even defense petitions that appeared to be prepared in my name. My signatures were almost perfect, but something was missing. When I sign, I always apply a specific ritual. First I turn the pen in my right hand, then I sign starting from the left side. That flow wasn't in these signatures. I immediately went to my computer and logged into the court record system. I searched for file number CV 2023-15847. The file was really there. All documents, dates, judge's signature, everything was in place. I checked the date May 18, 2023. Where was I that day? I opened my calendar. May 18th, Thursday. At 2 p.m., Watson vs. Watson divorce case in Judge Patricia Williams's courtroom. The accident was supposed to have happened at 2:30 p.m., but I was in court at that time. I pulled the transcripts of the Watson case from the court record system. I really was in Judge Williams's courtroom from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. that day. The court stenographer's records confirmed this. It was impossible. I couldn't be both in court and in a traffic accident at the same time. At this point, I realized this wasn't just a misunderstanding. Someone had deliberately prepared fake documents. I examined Marcus Thompson's file in more detail. Thompson, 42 years old, married, father of 2 children. Profession: software engineer. Address: 4523 North 24th Street, Phoenix. According to the medical report, injury in C5, C6 vertebra region, chronic neck pain. I looked at the witness statements. Sarah Mitchell, 34 years old, Nurse. Address: 1847 East Camelback Road. Statement: I saw Samuel Harrison's car run a red light and hit Marcus Thompson's car from the side. Second witness David Rodriguez, 28 years old, technician. Address: 956 West McDowell Road. Statement: Harrison was going very fast. I heard braking sound, but it was too late. I had never heard these names. I checked their addresses on Google Maps. Sarah Mitchell's address existed, but there was a problem with David Rodriguez's. There was no building numbered 956 on West McDowell Road. My suspicions were growing. I immediately drove to Sarah Mitchell's address. 1847 East Camelback Road was a real address, but the person living there wasn't Sarah Mitchell. It was an elderly couple. I knocked on the door. "Hello, I'm looking for Sarah Mitchell." The elderly woman was surprised. "Sarah who? We've lived in this house for 20 years. We don't know any Sarah Mitchell." I also went to David Rodriguez's address. 956 West McDowell Road didn't exist. The numbers jumped from 954 to 958. The witnesses were fake. I went to Marcus Thompson's address. 4523 North 24th Street was a real house, but the door looked like it hadn't been knocked for a very long time. I asked the neighbor, "Do you know Marcus Thompson?" "No, nobody lives in that house. It's been empty for 6 months." At this point, I realized the situation was very serious. This wasn't just a legal error. It was organized fraud. The next day, I called the Phoenix Bar Association. I asked if there were other lawyers in similar situations. "Mr. Harrison, interestingly, 5 other lawyers experiencing the same problem as you applied last month. All received compensation payment orders for cases they never filed." "Who are they?" "Attorney Linda Peterson, Attorney Jonathan Wright, Attorney Rebecca Davis, Attorney Christopher Johnson, and Attorney Patricia Wilson." I knew all these lawyers. They were all respectable lawyers who had been working in Phoenix for many years. I called Linda Peterson. Her voice was anxious. "Samuel, this is terrible. I supposedly sued someone named Gary Miller and lost. I'm supposed to pay $65,000. But I never had such a client." I also called Jonathan Wright. He was in a similar situation. "I lost a case I filed against Timothy Adams. $70,000 compensation. But I've never seen Timothy Adams in my life." This was an organized operation, and the target was small law firms in Phoenix. That evening at home, I thought about the situation. I was 40 years old, had been practicing law for 15 years. I had a good reputation. Why would someone target me? Then it occurred to me, maybe the target wasn't me. Maybe the target was all small lawyers in Phoenix. Big firms have the capacity to investigate such situations. But small lawyers generally prefer to pay quickly and move on. I remembered my old police days. I had worked on fraud cases. In such organized crimes, there's always a system. Nothing is random. The next day, I called my colleague and friend Alan Stevens. Alan was also a lawyer but had done private detective work before practicing law. "Alan, I've encountered a very strange situation. I need your help." I explained the situation to Alan in detail. He was also surprised. "Samuel, this is a very sophisticated operation. Someone has infiltrated the court system and is creating fake records. This isn't just a financial crime, it's a direct attack on the legal system. What do we need to do?" "First, we need to find the pattern. How are these cases being created? Who's involved? Where is the money going?" With Alan's help, we started systematic investigation. First, we tried to find common points of the fake cases. We compared the files of 5 victim lawyers. The common pattern was: all cases were traffic accidents. All plaintiffs were middle-aged men. Accidents always in afternoon between 2 to 4 p.m. Compensation amounts between $50,000 to $75,000. Witnesses always same type. 1 from health sector, 1 technician/worker. All cases filed within last 6 months. Such a detailed pattern couldn't be coincidence. "Alan, this is professional work. Someone planned very carefully." To examine the fake signatures, we went to my old friend, handwriting expert Dr. Patricia Wilson. Patricia was both a lawyer and a document specialist. These signatures were made by a professional forger. But there are several mistakes. First, the same brand pen was used in all signatures. Second, the pressure angle is the same. This shows the same person signed in the same environment. So the documents were prepared in the same place? Definitely. And the person doing this is left-handed. You're all right-handed. This was an important clue. We started investigating the court record system. Who had entered these fake records into the system? Normal procedure was for court clerks to enter this information. But we checked the entry times. The fake records were entered outside normal working hours, between midnight and 6 a.m. Samuel, this is very important. How many people have midnight access to the court system? We investigated. Only 5 categories of personnel had night access. Security guards, system administrators, cleaning staff, senior court administrators, emergency personnel. Security guards could access only the physical security system, not the record system. There were only 2 system administrators, and both had been working for many years. Senior administrators were too risky, high chance of getting caught. Emergency personnel were also few and highly controlled. That left the cleaning staff. We investigated Phoenix Court Cleaning Services Company. The company had made personnel changes 3 months ago. One of their former employees, Linda Foster, had suddenly quit. We examined Linda Foster's file. 38 years old, divorced, mother of 1 child. Had minor theft and check fraud convictions in her past. Her financial situation was problematic. But what was interesting was, Linda Foster had switched to a luxury lifestyle in the last 3 months. Her credit card spending had increased 5-fold. Alan, we need to put Linda Foster under surveillance. For 2 days we watched Linda's house. She lived in a small but well-maintained house in North Phoenix. But the shopping bags coming out of her car contained luxury brands, new clothes, expensive electronics. It was impossible to earn this much money from cleaning work. On the 3rd day, we followed Linda. She went directly to a small office building in downtown Phoenix. There was a business services sign at the building entrance. Linda entered the office and came out half an hour later. She had an envelope in her hand. We investigated this business services company. Owner Victor Chen, 45 years old. Officially provided consulting services, but the company's background was suspicious. When we investigated Victor Chen's background, a dark picture emerged. Identity fraud, fake document production, organized crime connections. He had been caught in California 3 years ago but was released due to insufficient evidence. Samuel, I think we found the head of the operation. We put Victor Chen's office under surveillance. For 3 days we noted who came and went. Most looked like normal customers, but some were very suspicious. On the 4th day, we followed someone leaving the office. He went directly to Maricopa County Courthouse. This person was court personnel. At this point we realized the situation was huge. Not just Linda Foster, but there were collaborators inside the court too. With Alan's help, we tried to legally obtain Victor Chen's phone records. For this we needed a search warrant from court. We applied to Judge Robert Martinez. We presented the evidence we had. When Judge Martinez understood the seriousness of the situation, he issued a search warrant. Victor Chen's phone records were shocking. He regularly called Linda Foster. He was also in regular contact with at least 3 court personnel. At this point, it was time to involve the Phoenix Police Department. I called my former colleague Detective Maria Gonzalez. Maria, I've discovered an organized fraud operation. This is your area of expertise. After Maria listened to the situation, she immediately took action. Samuel, this is huge. They've infiltrated the court system. We may need to inform the FBI too. A week later, Agent Sarah Thompson from the FBI also joined the team. Such federal crimes were their area. Mr. Harrison, the size of this operation might exceed Arizona. We'll check if there are similar cases in other states. Coordinated investigation began. With FBI resources, the real size of the operation began to emerge. Victor Chen's business services company was operating not just in Phoenix, but in 4 different cities in Arizona. Tucson, Flagstaff, Yuma. Different names in each city but same system. The most surprising finding was the target list. Victor Chen's computer had a list of almost all solo practitioner lawyers in Phoenix. Detailed files for each lawyer. Income status, client portfolio, even personal habits. This is very systematic. They researched each lawyer beforehand, said Agent Thompson. My name was also on the list, but my file was incomplete. My detective background hadn't been researched. This was their big mistake. 2 weeks later, the coordinated operation began. Simultaneous raids on Victor Chen's office, Linda Foster's house, and the houses of collaborating court personnel. What we found in Victor Chen's office was shocking. Thousands of fake documents, hundreds of fake identities, professional fake signature equipment, even fake court seals. When Linda Foster was caught, she confessed everything. While cleaning, I learned access passwords to court computers. Victor paid me $1,000 for each fake record. I earned about $100,000 in 2 years. Court personnel collaborators were also caught. Court clerk Jennifer Adams and deputy clerk Robert Miller. Both were receiving regular money from Victor Chen. Victor paid us $5,000 monthly. We just entered records at night, confessed Jennifer Adams. When the full extent of the operation emerged, the numbers were horrifying. Total damage over 2 years exceeded $3 million. 200 lawyers in Arizona had been victimized. Records found in Victor Chen's house showed the operation was active not just in Arizona, but also in New Mexico and Nevada. When the court hearing day came, Victor Chen had to plead guilty. He faced very strong evidence. "How did you develop your plan?" asked the prosecutor. The reason we chose lawyers as targets was that they generally avoid lawsuits. They don't want to get into legal costs. They want quick solutions. Big firms investigate, but small lawyers pay and move on. Why did you target Samuel Harrison? That was a mistake. We hadn't fully researched his background. If we knew he was a detective, we wouldn't have targeted him. The jury found Victor Chen guilty on all charges. He received 8 years federal prison sentence. Linda Foster got 3 years. Jennifer Adams and Robert Miller each got 2 years. Most importantly, the court system closed its security gaps. Now night access is much more controlled and entering fake records is almost impossible. All victim lawyers got their money back. My $50,000 was also returned. But the real gain was ensuring the security of the legal system. The media event attracted great interest. Phoenix newspapers ran headlines, "Former detective lawyer solves fake lawsuit gang." It even made national news. This incident showed me that our past experiences never go to waste. My detective experience unexpectedly helped in my legal career. Today, I continue practicing law in Phoenix. But now I don't just handle normal cases. I've also specialized in legal fraud cases. I established a fraud prevention committee at the Phoenix Bar Association. Other lawyers call me when they encounter suspicious situations. This incident also taught me the importance of trust. The legal system is built on trust. A few malicious people can ruin the lives of thousands of innocent people. Victor Chen and his gang were caught, but similar operations might be continuing elsewhere. That's why we need to be constantly vigilant. In the last year, no similar cases have occurred in Phoenix. System security was increased. Controls were tightened. Cleaning personnel's access to the system was completely cut off. But the most important lesson is this: we must never lose faith in justice. Bad people always exist, but justice finds its place sooner or later. I was asked to pay $50,000 compensation for a case I never filed. But I didn't give up. I investigated and finally justice prevailed. Victor Chen is now in federal prison. Linda Foster and others are serving their sentences. The legal profession in Phoenix is now safer. This operation led to review of court security systems throughout the country. My story ends here, but the message is clear. We must fight against injustice. Because justice never abandons those who fight.